This is a tribute to the neshama of a very special chassid, someone who I personally knew and had an opportunity to interview extensively a year to year and a half ago. This is Rabbi Shmuel Plotkin. Rabbi Plotkin was 97. He passed on Chalamoid Sukkos, Tafshin Pei Vav. The number one thing that stands out about Rabbi Plotkin to me is that at the age of 55 to 60, somewhere there, he decides to become a Shliach in Berditchov. Like Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchov in that same city. Not only does he become a Shliach there, traveling back and forth from his home on President Street on the same block of the Rebbe in Crown Heights, but he spends months there, years. He hires other shluchim. He raises the money for them. Till today, he raises the money. The organization still exists, and they do need funds. So if I forget, now's the time to say, send tzedakah in memory of Rabbi Plotkin. For his neshama, he'll be very, very happy. Because when I interviewed him, he told me a gewaltige Zach. He said, as soon as he feels better, he told his wife, who was a very special woman, who I had a chance to speak to and interview as well, he told me that he's going right back to Berditchov. And he meant it. Now, this isn't a Shliach, kind of from America. This is a Russian-born chassid whose father was the great Gaon, the Talmudic scholar and genius, Rabbi Avram Elia Plotkin, who was a Tamim. He learned in Lubavitch, I believe, from 1906, and who wrote Svarim, and Reb Shmuel, his son, Olav Shalom, published some of them. There's talk of in the Sichas of the Frierdiker Rebbe about him, a famous story I heard from my shver, Rabbi Chaim Dalfin. He was a very good friend of Rabbi Plotkin from their childhood, their teenhood. That Simchas Torah, I think it was actually, that they used to be accustomed, the Frierdiker Rebbe made a kiddush during while the Rashab was alive, and he took quite a bit of mashke, the Rabbi Plotkin, Rabbi Avram Elia, he took quite a bit of mashke, and he was very sluggish, and he said, don't quote me on the exact words, but something, was wird sein mit mir, what's with me, like he couldn't walk, it was hard, and the Rebbe said, if he could have said, halt sich an mein Gartel, hold on to my gartel. And as I walk into my father's room, you'll come along with me. You see, talking here about not just another chassid, another tamim. This was, besalto v'shamto from the Rashab. This was the nicest and the choicest of the Rebbe Rashab amongst the Tmimim, amongst the Hasidim. And then Rabbi Avram Elia, I believe, became the head of Aguch Chabad in Plotkin, in Germany, maybe in France. But we're not talking about him today. We're talking about his son, Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel, I remember seeing him in 770, Chazering a Maimer, sitting on the bench, like on top part of the bench, and Chazering, strong, the Maimer, loud. And he probably was 75, 80 at the time. And he's going at it full force, It was beautiful to see. He also did something that many people are not aware of today, because he did it way back in the late 70s, 80s, where he made an entire trask, as we say in Yiddish. He made a storm. He stormed the Crown Heights 770 world. There has to be better learning of Gemara, and the Bochum should come on time, and the Anhola should come, and he stormed it up, He didn't sit still. He himself could have sat in his corner, minded his business, learn, daven. I'm told in the last 10 years he was the Rav of the Shul, Getzel Shul on President in Kingston, over there in the basement of 1414. And he used to chazal chassidus every Shabbos and Fabring. He was the mashpia of the yeshiva of the shul, maybe the Rav as well. I don't know, but the point is, the nekuda, the commitment to Taimchet Mimim, and to Mesiras Nefesh that he got from being a Tomim in the underground yeshivas, and then later in France, etc., and then coming to America and being by the Rebbe. I think he came in 52, 53, very early on, creates this person. So when I interview him at the age of 95, 96, he's full of life, he's full of energy. And he's like, when can I get on the plane to go back to Berditchov? Could you imagine? A man has 55 to 60. Most of his life has already passed, Half of his life has passed. And he's driven. And what is he driven to do? To help Yidden in Berditchov learn an aleph and a beis. He told me he would learn people aleph, beis, and brachas, basics. I also saw this by my shver here, even in Brooklyn, with Russian Jews. You would think these chassidim are learning chassidus, and they want to teach chassidus, and they let them into Yidden aleph, beis. Who's learning with who? Which Litvische Rav and Godel or Svardische, which Hasidische, who's taking the time at the age of 60 to sit with a Russian Jew who doesn't know any Hebrew and to teach him the aleph beis? Show me. 1, 2, 3, and guess what? If they're doing it because they learned it from Lubavitch. But anyway, that's for a side. You could disagree. That's not the point here. Let's go on. So I feel I feel elated. I feel great, and even though it's now the Shiva, and it's Shiva, but this chassid really got me excited. He got me excited. I've done a lot of interviews with these people, spoken to a lot of them, know a lot of these people. This chassid, when I came into him, he was just energetic, sharp, and we conversed. And there were certain things I wanted to draw out of him, and I saw how he was able to skirt the issue. He didn't want to talk about it, in a very smart way. There's many things to say, but I think that these few words is an appropriate tribute to the neshama of Rabbi Shmuel, Plotkin, Rabbi Shmuel, Ben Reb, Rabbi Goin, Rabbi Avramelia. Shmuel had another name, Shmuel. I forget the second name, but Littman was also, he had three names. I forget the second name now, I'm sorry. The Eibishter helfen v'kitzim am Sheikh Ofer Reb Shmuel. You're an inspiration. You're an inspiration to me. I also have a white beard. You're an inspiration. Because when I looked at you and I interviewed you and I came to your house, it was in the winter and there was snow outside. And what I saw and what I picked up and what was left in my memory of our interviews is that halavai, one day, halavai, I should be in my 90s and my head should be clear. And your memory, the memory was fantastic, details. And the Simchas HaChaim that they call in the literature world, It's not really a Chabad, Simchas HaChaim. Chabad doesn't use the, But the Chayes, the Lebedekeit, the Chassidishkeit, the Warmkeit, the Verbringen, you had. Well, the Rebbe helping that your entire family, started with my good friend from Yeshiva, from Morristown and Motion Parkway, Avramela Plotkin, a Rav today, a Shliach in Toronto, I think of Markham or somewhere around there. And we spent many days Verbringen together and talking. Well, the Rebbe helping Avramelia that you and your entire family should only have simchas, and we should take a bizecha to the Gula Shlema, the Bias Mashiach Tzekenu. It will be very soon, and your father will come back very shortly. Amen ve'amen. Only psudas tevis to you and the entire family. Thank you.